So welcome to another exploration into consciousness with the Earth Nova Network. And today we're gonna go back to the basics. We're just gonna look at very simple tools where we can start tapping into our energetic perception, our knowingness, and also how we can look into the left brain, the right brain, and bring probably, the idea is, I don't know, we haven't really got a title for it, but I could think of something beyond vision, or creating more space, or anything like that. So taking let's say, an expression, an energy, a conclusion, and then how can we translate it by using the right brain capacities and making it into a picture. And as soon as we do that, as soon as we work with images, metaphorical representations, the connection to the body becomes completely different. So it's a completely different perception when we're taking certain concepts and turning them back into images. And that will also help us to work with the imagination, to work with our sensory systems, and also to work beyond the sensory perception at some stage. Yeah. So shall we just play with that? I have put a couple of questions into the chat if you want to have a look at that, which we can use. And the idea, the exercise, is using clean language questions. Now, clean language is a modality, if you wish, that is used to facilitate problems or concepts or anything, and turning them, as we just said early on, into images, into metaphorical representations. Can you repost? Yes. Hold on a second. Let me just repost this here.
Thank you.
Here we go. Right? So very simple. Let me, we've got 4 people here at the moment. So let's take, one of the things I was asking is find an energy before coming onto the show. Find an energy that you would like to define a bit more, because so many of those energies, like we've talked about before, like love and confidence and anger, even, all sorts of energies, they are identified in a certain way that doesn't necessarily fit our perception. And when we turn those words, literally language, and we turn it back into images, into metaphorical representations, then the meaning becomes completely different. Is a different meaning that is attached to that. And that's a very simple but very powerful tool. So is there any of those, is anyone who has come up with an energy, an expression, a word that they would like to explore in that manner?
Well, I think, why don't you start, because I think you had a good one, and that will give us a little bit better example.
Oh, okay. So my thing, I've been playing with this because that's what I do. I look at words as an energy, and when I find that the energy is slightly conflicting, yes, you can go and check out the definition, but it will not be your definition. It will not be your specific, application of it. So my thing was, I came across the selfless listening. And Mary and I, we had a little chat about this the other day, didn't we? Because selfless listening is to practice. Selfless listening helps us to get into this unconditional love business, right? Because unconditional love is such a difficult energy to define for ourselves and stay, expanded enough, not contract and go into limitation. So selfless listening, that is my expression that I'm going to throw in, and we're going to turn this into a metaphorical representation. And I'm going to, I'm going to play with Tanya here. But as we play, please remind yourself that when I ask the questions, or Tanya asks the questions, answer it for yourself, or just listen. This doesn't mean that the metaphor that comes up for me will be the metaphor that works for you. Just get the idea of how this stuff works, right?
Right.
So, Tanya, if you want to, oh, here she is. He's back. Sandrine was saying she had thunderstorms and just got lost.
Mm.
So, okay, as Tanya, I'm going to ask you, okay?
Mhm.
So the question is for asking yourself, when I am selflessly listening at my best, that is like what? What comes up for you?
Receiving information.
Okay. So when we think of metaphorical representation, think of something a bit more tangible that could become that metaphor.
Man with the golden voice.
Add, adding information to my bucket of awareness.
Okay, so here we got something tangible. We got a bucket. We got a bucket. All right. It's that simple. That's what I'm after. So it's like a bucket of awareness. So when Tanya is asking herself, when I'm selflessly listening at my best, it's like a bucket of awareness. So now we're going to explore that bucket of awareness a bit more. What kind of bucket of awareness is that?
Well, I mean, it's not a physical. I guess it would be etheric or representational.
What if you could leave it as a physical? Yeah. Don't shy away from that. This is that kind of exploration. It's a bucket of awareness. So what kind of bucket is it? Just tell us, what kind of bucket would it be for you?
A big bucket with a spout and a handle on it.
Okay.
Probably like a 5-gallon bucket.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And is there anything else about that big 5-gallon bucket of awareness?
It would be, well, I see it as white.
Mm-hmm.
And a narrower bottom, a wider top with a lip, a spout that you could pour things out.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And it has a bottom, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Does it have a bottom? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So where is that 5-gallon bucket of awareness that is white?
I guess it would be right next to me
Okay. All right.
or in front of me.
And what is that like, having that big bucket of awareness right next to you, right in front of you?
It allows me to see what goes in and what goes out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's constantly changing. You know, it's recycling. The energy is continually recycled. Things come in and things go out. Right? It's like not everything needs to stay in the bucket.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's almost like as I'm selflessly listening and concepts are coming from another individual into this bucket of awareness, then if it's something I already have an awareness of, it doesn't need to stay in the bucket for further exploration. If it's something that is new to my perspective, then maybe it stays in that bucket longer for consideration.
Fantastic. And what is there anything else about that bucket that you can see now that you didn't see before?
It's there's a portal inside of it, almost like a galaxy that's continually swirling and exchanging energetic information. Information and energy.
Fantastic. And then what happens when you are selflessly listening and you've got this bucket in front of you with that swirling portal?
I mean, for me, it allows me to just back up and see and watch and observe what is happening instead of having to act on anything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what has to happen? What happens just before you bring out that bucket of awareness that you've now described?
Well, I mean, I think before the selfless listening can happen and before the bucket appears, that there's a question, right, that prompts the selfless listening, right? I mean, if you're just sitting next to someone and, you know, you maybe not talking, how does that conversation spark? I mean, I'm thinking specifically of all the selfless listening I do with the clients that I see, right? And the question I ask is, why did you come here today? Why did you come in to see me today? Right? And so then that sparks the response, right, from the individual, and then I just hold that space, hold that bucket open. So all of the information that they're giving can go into that bucket, and I have an understanding of what is going on with that person, right, in their energy field and in their life, you know, where they're stuck and where they're flowing. Yeah, so I can then, you know, as I'm doing the actual energy work after, I can pull out those little things that are relevant to the energy clearing that person needs.
Mm-hmm. So where would you say does, you know, when you're selflessly listening with one of your clients, where would you say does that bucket with that portal, that swirling portal, 5-gallon painted in white, where would you say that is coming from?
I mean, it's just, where is it coming from? I don't know. To me, it's just there. It's sort of always there as a tool that I work with. But I mean, I guess it's coming from higher frequency self, or, you know, soul self, higher self, right? That self that allows that space to be held.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So when you're selflessly listening and this bucket arises, what would you think that the bucket would like to have happen?
I don't know, bucket. What would you like to have happen? I mean, I guess it can be turned, it can be poured out, it can be filled up, it can be, you know, moved. But it seems like, you know, it seems to me that it sits sort of like between the person I'm listening to and myself, usually. But if it's turned, will it look different? I guess it could, but it still is the container for the information that's coming through.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything that needs to happen for that bucket of awareness to assist you in your selfless listening?
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. I don't have an answer to that currently. I guess I'll think about it a little bit deeper, but I'm not getting anything that anything needs to happen, that it's okay, just how it is and where it is.
Mm-hmm. So to conclude that exploration, when you are selflessly listening at your best, that bucket of awareness can just happen.
It can just happen. But it also, maybe it can grow.
Mm-hmm.
It can grow, it can expand to be larger,
Mm-hmm.
to hold more.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thanks, Tanya, for playing.
Yeah.
Now that was a illustration. And you can see this is not an easy exploration, right? Because it really makes one go very deeply into the representation. Close this down. Okay. Bye, Sandrine, darling. Thanks for checking in. Now, how was that for you, Tanya?
I mean, it's it's interesting to think about things in that way, right? It's interesting to think about listening in that way and creating almost like a physical representation of what that is.
Now, and that can be done with any definition, with any expression, with any energy that has no clarity to it. And the one thing which is going to be interesting, the next client you have, your bucket is just going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
It's just amazing how this stuff works when you take it from the right brain, because it's that innate knowingness.
Yeah.
And the bucket will keep evolving, just like it did throughout the questioning. But this is the idea of clean language, and it's called clean language is because there's no projection. There is no, that I'm not coming in with, oh, what is selflessly listening for Tanya here? I'm not projecting anything. I'm not expecting anything. I'm using the metaphorical representation, everything that Tanya has been saying, literally, and I'm feeding it back in a question. And guys, this is not an easy thing. And this is why, you can play with this by yourself. It's super, super powerful. And
well, I think, now that I'm thinking about this a little bit more, right, I'm thinking that the benefit of the bucket is that I don't need to take that energy into myself, right? And we were talking a little bit about energy boundaries before and how that works, right? And I don't need to internalize, right? Because I have a container instead. I'm not the container, the bucket's the container, right? And the bucket can be as big or as small as needed, but I don't need to be the container. Exactly.
And that is the potency of doing that, so just as an example, when I did that for myself, selflessly listening, for me, it is a very deep blue river. It's water. And the concept is the same for me, is whenever I have a conversation, especially with a very with a person who loves critique, who loves going into conclusions, who loves, coming forth with all sorts of very strong points of views, I step into that selflessly listening through getting into that river. And then just as the water, just go around the stones, go around the points of views, go up and down. And sometimes what I'm finding myself is I have to go really, really deep, deep down to avoid the dam that is being created by some of those people. And I can perceive it physically all of a sudden. And sometimes the dam has to burst because I forget that I have the capacity as that blue river to go really deep and go underneath. And then I just burst the dam. And obviously, what does it create? It creates this intense conversation, or even the I wouldn't say fight, but that kind of controversy. And then, I was like, oh, You know, selflessly listening doesn't mean that we are giving up ourselves. It very much means that the I, the ego, steps into the capacities and potency of who we really are as that big energy being that we are. So we are expanding ourselves out, like the bucket is getting bigger, and then we're bringing all the critique and all the points of views, we're bringing it into the bucket, but we're not taking it on, right? Or I let it as the blue river, as the water, I just let it flow on top of me or underneath or right through me, that kind of thing, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that, you know, and so let's just play with the Mary, you're still here.
I'm still here, but I'm driving, Martina. I'm
you're
actually
driving. No worries at all.
I'm driving, but I am listening to you, and it's fascinating. I find your conversation fascinating, but I will have to go in a minute. But it does remind me too, very much, and it was what came to me at the very beginning, that's what I practice when I'm working with my clients. That's really what you know, a therapist does. And it's the way that they bring forth that unconditional love. And when you go into that space of kind of unconditional love, where you're available to hear everything and follow everything, it kind of reminds me of stepping on stone.
We've lost you now. It reminds you of, we lost you. You got too expanded there.
I think she muted herself, or I don't
Did
know,
you
got
mute
muted.
Oh yeah, no, we lost you, darling. But that's the idea of taking a concept that is difficult to grasp.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it might not be for everyone, but for me, definitely unconditional love is something I'm working on, or selflessly listening is definitely a challenge still that I need to practice more and more. But that metaphorical representation is really helping me to stay on track, because there is no emotion in this.
Mm-hmm.
It takes it all out as you represent it.
Is that called the call?
Mary, you're back now.
I am, yes. I'm just wondering if the call interfered with you, Martina. Could you hear me talking? Because it came in on my phone. No?
No.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. Yeah. Anyway, look, I continue, because I'm a little bit scattered.
Yeah. No worries. Thanks, Mary. Yeah.
Okay.
So that would be a very basic tool, clean language tool. And one of the tools, and we always say that in our shows, is like questioning. A question is a very, very powerful tool to bring up more awareness. And those clean questions, clean language questions are beautiful for a beautiful tool for facilitating any kind of emotional turmoil, problems, you know, and things like that. Now we've got Alfredo here. Alfredo, are you in a good space to talk? Would you like to play? Are you driving too? Gosh, everyone's on the move.
Well, I'm moving right now. We're moving from Austin to Georgetown, so I'm like, I've been on the move the past few days, but I'm on vacation at the same time too, though. So like, I'm available. I'm ready. I'm pretty well rested.
You're moving house?
For a little bit.
You're moving house? Oh, great.
Yeah, moving to a bigger location that's out in the country, not in like this storm, super busy Austin city anymore. I mean, I'll still be working in the city, but at least like I'll be away from the city when I'm not, working. Awesome. So it'll be nice for me and the kids and all the freaking cats we got now.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I could play a little bit. I got a little bit of time.
So did you hear us do the questions with Tanya and the selflessly listening? Yeah. Yeah,
there's a lot of questions. It just seems like a lot of angles.
Yeah.
One thing, it's like, damn, let's hit it from this angle, that angle, all these angles.
Yeah,
and I was just trying to find the thing to analyze. What's up?
See the simplicity of it all as well, Okay, so would you like to play? Can you think of an energy that that you'd like to explore with those questions?
The only thing that was coming to me is like the flow state. Like that's
Flow
all like that really came up. Yeah, so when I am flowing at my best, you know, what is that like?
What is that like? Tanya, would you like to ask the questions to Alfredo?
Okay, Alfredo. When you are flowing at your best, that is like what?
It's just like it's just movement, you know, it's like I don't know, it's just this beautiful energy. I love it.
And what kind of movement is that?
I don't know, it's just like streamlined, just like nothing can like cling on and attach because I'm flowing, you know.
Is there a specific direction that the
Oh
flow
no,
goes?
it can go any direction. It's not limited to just stay in like one place. It's like go there, go here, go all over the place, you know. It's just whatever spontaneous impulses I get, I'm flowing with it, you know. So it's kind of
And
oh, go ahead.
is there a location for it, for the movement?
That's a good question.
Like where
I don't
is
know.
where is it in relation to you?
I don't know. I guess it's like within my entire body, I guess you could say. So it's not just like I've been realizing a lot of times I'm just in my head because I've let like my I'm so caught up, I'm attached to certain things, like whether it's like visualizing or just attachments to things, you know. And when I'm not attached to them, I can just I don't know. It's just within my whole body. I realize it's a full body experience, you know.
And
That's why I
then
haven't been able to flow. Oh, go ahead.
And then what happens?
I'm just limitless, you know. I feel it. I feel like infinite potential. So I feel it within my body, you know. It's not just in my head.
So what happens
Yeah,
right before the movement?
I guess it's like I'm getting up and it's just kind of just like a flower just sitting. And then when I get in that flow state, the flower is starting to blossom and open up, you know. It's starting to be the flower, just that beautiful flower. So you wake up, it's the seed, and then you're blossoming as the sun's rising, and you just open up, you know, fully, like a lotus.
And what needs to happen for that?
I gotta be fully in myself, you know. I gotta be fully embodied in me. I have to. So it's like taking care of my energy above all else, and not letting all these other energetic, whatever the hell it is, coming in and trying to take me off my balance or throw me off flow or projections or whatever the hell it is that's in my reality. I gotta be fully energetically sound within so that that flow can just boom, just blossom like a beautiful, gorgeous flower that it is, you know. So it's energetic, like pure, being my pure, authentic energy internally within. allows that flower to blossom and come forth. Is there another question?
And well, I mean, what can movement happen? What needs to happen for movement?
What needs to happen for movement?
There's, I guess, the way that you're describing it, there's a state without the movement and then the state with the movement.
Yes.
So that
yes.
in between, that in between space, where is that juicy in between space? Hone into the flower.
Mm.
What does that flower want?
I mean, it wants nourishment, you know. It wants
Mhm.
sunlight. It wants water. It wants a little bit of everything, I guess you could say. Because then what if I'm just dousing it with too much of one thing or not enough of this thing? It wants to be in balance with the environment. I guess like a state of balance for this flower to be as beautiful as it needs to be. That's the only thing I think or come up with. Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, what does it need anything else? The flower.
It needs love, you know. It needs love. Yeah, just
And how does the flower feel when it gets love?
amazing. Like I don't need anything else. Like I know my flower just wants to focus. I want this. I gotta have this. Otherwise, I'm not gonna be happy. If I can't get this, then you know my life is gonna be miserable. It's like no, man. Like when I'm in balance fully, I'm just happy to exist, and that's enough. Not about all this other material crap. It's not all about the narrative or the stories or other people's beliefs or whatever. It's just like I could just be content with the existence itself, which is good enough for me, you know. And I just love to feel. I just love to feel good. You know, that's the primary goal and objective of my life. Is always just to feel good, because when I feel good, that's when the magic happens. That's when everything just unfolds in beauty, because I'm feeling so effing good that everything else around me is going to be radiating and feeling that pure, authentic, divine love, you know? And I can spread it like a damn wildfire and set everything ablaze, you know?
And what happens to the flower when the wildfire happens?
That's like kind of contradicting, sorry.
No, I mean,
I'll say it again. I'm sorry, Tanya.
what happens to the flower when the wildfire happens?
Oh man, it's just glowing. It's big. It's ginormous. You know? It's beautiful. Just becomes a super antenna of light. Just beautiful, gorgeous flower, you know, and everybody can see it and feel it, and they want to be around it, and they love it. You know, just I don't know. Just to me, it's just a big ass super ball of energy. You know, just being a super conduit for myself and everything around me. You know, share the love, share the light, share the expression of life.
I love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. Martina, do you have any other questions? You have good ones.
Yeah, no, that's so that flower that transformed into that ball of light, yeah, what would that ball of light like to have happen?
I suppose just sharing the love. I don't know, just sharing the love and just I don't even know how to describe it. I don't know, just to radiate, just to freaking radiate light, you know, just to radiate beauty and light and love. And I mean, I want it to be a part of every damn day, you know. I mean, maybe that's not ideal, but like, I just want it to be a state of infinite beingness, you know, that other people can enjoy, other beings or whatever. Just, I don't know, I just want it to be an everyday thing, not just this.
It's Tanya asked a good question. What happens to the flower in the wildfire? Just give that another thought here. What happens to the flower in the wildfire before it turns into light? What is that process that is required?
So I'm getting hung up because I feel like it was contradictory, because like I feel like that flower is gonna burn in this wildfire. But
well, yeah, this is the metaphor. The flower has to burn in the wildfire. It will burn in the wildfire. Flowers burn in the wildfire before they turn into light.
Yeah, I'm gonna burn down. Ask the question. Oh, sorry, I'm getting caught up on the words and the contradiction.
You're not. You're not. No. You're not getting caught up at all.
I'm getting old.
No, it's the flower. The flower that represents the movement. Before it can turn into light, it needs to be burned in the wildfire in your metaphor. So what if you could just be in allowance of the burning of the flower in the wildfire before it can turn into light?
Not get so attached to the wild.
Yeah, you can't get attached to the metaphor, because you will get caught in the metaphor and in the movement and in the light.
You know, there's other things I get attached to.
Yeah.
This. I want this. It's like, this isn't happening. Damn it. You know, drives me nuts.
So what will have to happen
for
the flower to get burned in the wildfire? What will have to happen? And stay with the flower. I'm not interested what you would do. What will have to happen for a flower to not get burned in the wildfire?
Oh man, stumped. I mean, I was gonna say I just let it go, you know, just let go of the attachment to the flower.
Yeah, you can do that too. You can do that too, but that's not so easy. But it's a metaphor. So what can that flower do? And I'm understanding that you're already doing it in the real world too. For the flower to not get burned in the wildfire, the flower could choose to grow in a place where there is no wildfire.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Let's relocate the flower somewhere else where it can absorb some sun. Because I could take my flower and move it somewhere else, because sometimes maybe the flower's in some crazy energies and it's like, you're an ugly flower, you're this flower, look at you, you're just this type of flower, and we just got all this jealousy and anger and frustration about your light. So okay, I'm gonna move my flower somewhere else, because you guys are shooting me with flames and fire and all this, trying to burn me. I gotta move this flower in a more safe space.
So what would that flower like to have happen?
to keep on blossoming, you know, keep on blossoming, keep on getting bigger, keep on soaking up the rays of light.
And what would
And then
that-
also asking for help when I need it, because sometimes I need a little bit of water on my flower, you know, because sometimes I'm a stubborn, prideful, vanity flower, you know, just like I got this covered. I'm beautiful already as it is, and I don't need no one's help. But sometimes I need someone to water my plant, you know, because I'm so caught up in my damn pride. I just like I can figure this out myself. I got it. It's like, no, man, I'm just being ridiculous.
So
Remove that flower.
Alfredo, when you are in your best flow, when you are flowing at your best, what is that like?
It just feels amazing. I don't just like
Stick to the flower.
it's all I need.
Yeah, stick to the flower, stick to the metaphor. What is that like when you're best flowing? Where, how, when is that flower?
Goodness. I'm stumped again.
I know this is metaphor work is interesting.
Yeah, it's a lot of angles. That's goodness.
Can I throw something in here?
Of course, yes, by all means.
So one of the things that wildflowers do, wildflowers, not wildfires, wildflowers, when there is a fire, what happens is they drop their seeds. And so I just wanted to kind of throw that in there. That's functional flowerness. They'll drop seeds. And those seeds, what do? Grow new flowers.
Yeah, I was thinking of that too, you know. I was thinking about the seeds, and then like I think it was like the dandelions, they have like the things where they spread off the seeds or whatever in the winds, because the winds can carry the seeds. It's all these different, not transformations, but different phases or different things they can do. They're not just limited to being in one spot, you know, they can move around, they could go underneath, they can go in the sky, they can do all sorts of stuff, change directions to face the sun, or just, no, they do all sorts of stuff, or connect with the other communities of living organisms that are around it. It's kind of
Amazing.
omnipotent, omnidimensional, whatever. Do all sorts of stuff. Like
And
all
then
these
what
questions,
happens?
goodness.
Yeah, and then what happens when that flower does all that?
I don't know, it's just being its natural, true, authentic self, you know. It's being a part of the whole course of music, of life, of everything that's going on, you know. It's just a part, it's in balance with everything, you know.
And that's when
Just
it
being
creates,
a flower.
yeah. And then when it
Oh.
creates that love and that light.
Yeah. Just bringing things in a natural balance here.
And is
Oh,
it a
go ahead,
flower
Ty.
or a flower?
Yeah, the word flow is in flower,
In
you know.
flower. Flower.
Flow, flower, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love that.
Thank you, Alfredo.
I didn't even think about that.
Thank you.
Oh, thank y'all.
Good playing.
I'll take the opportunity.
Good
I'm just
playing.
grateful to be here, because I've been so caught up in like, it's like, oh, I can only do this because this is this, and I can only do that because that's, man, it's just about being with each other. That's it, you know. That's the bare, just connecting with everything, you know.
We're thinking outside of the bucket.
We're thinking outside the bucket,
Yeah.
inside the river, very deep down that river,
right.
that blue
That's
river.
right.
Absolutely. You know,
Flower.
nurturing that flower of love and light. Yeah. But you see,
Right.
this whole idea of the base of this, we call it a basic, you know, questioning. You can see how tough that is for a person to step into that. And there was something I was just about to say to this now. It's important to use a metaphor, a tangible metaphor, yeah? And that is also important because we are connected to everything in our surroundings. And everything in our surrounding, in nature, the bucket, the flower, is a teacher to us. And this is where those innate knowingness, you know, are all related into that oneness, connected to that oneness. No particular philosophy. And this is that fabulous, amazing thing about that metaphor work, how a bucket and the flower can show us the depth of our flow, can show us the depth of our selfless listening, of our love, of our light. So thanks for playing, Alfredo.
I like that you mentioned oneness. I have this crystal next to me, a Herkimer diamond, which connects with the energy of oneness.
Oh, here you
Right. So hello Herkimer.
go. Fantastic. So Herminia, would you like to play? Have you got an energy you would like to explore with a metaphorical representation?
Energy.
Anything that you're working with, anything that requires a bit of clarity maybe on your side?
Clarity in the flow of manifestation could be. I have been doing, yeah.
That's a cool one, actually.
Yeah.
Do you want to play with that?
Okay.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. So ask yourself, when I am manifesting at my best, what is that like? That's like what?
As my best. Oh, I feel empowered and remembering that remembering my original unlimited connection.
And what is that like? If you would have to draw this for us here, what metaphorical representation would you use? What comes up? What picture comes up when you're manifesting at your best? What is it like?
I feel like it's like a confirmation, like somebody jumping in the scene and say, you see.
So when you're manifesting at your best, it's like you jumping in the sea or somebody else jumping in the sea?
Somebody else jumping in the sea.
Jumping in the sea.
Yeah. It's like somebody coming, like a joking around, like a, you see, you forgot who you are, or something like that. Somebody jumping in the middle of the mist, like it's like a scene, like somebody, like a face coming, like a laughing.
A laughing face.
Yeah, like a laughing face. It's like you forgot who you are, or something like that. It's like a playing, like a play, something like that.
Okay. So what kind of, let's explore that a bit further now with our questions. What kind of laughing face is that?
What kind of laugh and face?
What kind of laughing face is that?
A laughing face. Well, it's a laughing face, like a completely have fun, like a fun.
Give me an example of a laughing face that has fun.
It's like a hot moment. A hot moment, like a hot moment. Oh, wow. It's like you find a friend in the road that you're walking through, and they say, oh my God, you remember when you did this? And
so when you look, I want you to look at that laughing face, because I need you to bring up something more tangible than an aha moment.
like a
It's like a
child.
clown's face, or is it a joker, or is it a child, or what?
It's
Who's
a child. It's like a child. It's like a child.
It's a child's laughing face, yeah. So,
Yeah.
is there anything else about that child's laughing face that you can see, perceive, know, be, receive?
It's so like an innocence, smile. You know, that's a smile. Like it doesn't have joys, like a joys, It doesn't have anything like no regrets, no doubt, nothing. Just very joyful face.
Now tell me, Hamini, where is that joyful, innocent, laughing face of that child? Whereabouts is that?
You know, it's like if you can see like a cloud, but not cloud, like if you are like in the forest, and you can see like a water and maybe the sun, but in the mist, in the middle, everything, there's like this face pumping out like a cloud, a scene, like a mist, that when you see when the lake is releasing something up, like a very misty.
Okay, so we've got that joyful, laughing, innocent child's face that it's almost like a cloud in the mist, in a forest, in a lake, that kind of scenery. So what happens with that face, with that child's face, that joyful, misty, probably wet?
You mean in the way how that face presents itself? Oh,
yeah. What happens when you look at it?
This made me think about it, like a go inside, something like that, trying to remember myself, or recognize myself, or reflection, like it reflects on myself, something like that. It's like a go deeper on myself, something, trying to.
So when you are manifesting at your best, and you go deeper into that reflection of that innocent, joyful child, sometimes in the cloud, in the mist, in the lake, in that forest, what is that like?
You know, it's funny because it's kind of like a suspension, like everything is stopped. It's like a being nowhere, no past, no present, no future, just like at the moment. It's like it's everything is stopped. Like there's no why, when, how, what. It just like suspend on time, like nothing.
So when you manifesting at your best, yeah, and you step into that joyful, innocent child, that laughing face, everything stops around you. There's no past, no present, no future. What has to happen? What happens just before that? What has to happen before that can happen?
I feel like I had to let it go, like allow myself and go with the feeling, and there's a word called a resistance. Not resisting anything, just let it be, and no looking for explanation, no looking for what is good, what is wrong, what I should do. It's like do nothing, really, just being there and do nothing.
So where would that joyful, innocent child come from before the resistance that doesn't allow you to let go and go into that suspension of time?
It's like all the occupied plan that I have to, I have to do, all the thing I had to be done, all my goal, all my like a schedule myself that I had to be done this, I had to be doing that. It's like in order to get there, I had to be finished doing this. It's like putting myself the break to get to that place because I had not done what I was supposed to do.
Yeah. So what would you think would that innocent, joyful child that would like to have that suspension of past, present, and future in that forest, in that mist, in that cloud? What would that child like to have happen?
It would be like a moment of playing without thinking about I had to do anything. Yeah.
So when you're manifesting yourself at your best, what needs to happen for that innocent, joyful child to just play?
I will have to sit down myself and just looking the way to be vulnerable, maybe, like no thinking that I have to do it.
Well, look at that child right now. Look at that child right now, that innocent, laughable, laughing face. That is, playing in the woods, suspended in time.
Yeah.
What needs to happen for that child to carry on playing without being restricted?
Like a walking. I feel like a walking in the wild, like a very narrow road, was very Pinterest, you could say, because I can see a lot of white flowers, very greeny scenes, and just like a walk without thinking about I had to get to any place. It's just like a walk, enjoys the walking in the road without thinking that I had to get to any place right now or tomorrow or whatever. Just be in the moment or enjoying walking.
Yeah. Do you know what I'd like you to do right now? I'd like you to give that child a name. Can you give that child a name? And next time you are manifesting at your best, she or he will be right next to you to remind you.
Yeah, do you want me to write it down?
Yeah.
The name?
Yeah, write it down for yourself.
Yeah, I can right away.
Okay. And that will be your little companion or big companion. Work with your manifestation at best.
Yeah.
And maybe at some stage you can allow that companion. Once you're done conversing and having fun playing with it, you can maybe integrate it in yourself. But not just yet.
That could be like a part of myself that can be integrated in my experience.
Yeah, can it? Can that happen?
Yes.
Cool. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Well done. So yeah, it's that simple. We were talking about back to the basics. It's that simple and it's that difficult.
It's not difficult. It's simple.
It's simple, yeah. But it takes, what does it take? Does it take determination? It takes that joyfulness that you were actually mentioning, that playfulness, because it can get quite tricky to go down that road, I mean, some people, they can't they don't understand the question, what is it like? They're not getting that you want something tangible, you want a metaphor. It's impossible. They can't go into the metaphor because it brings so much unease to them to let go of the left brain definition that they've become so accustomed to. They cannot allow themselves to play with that. And as I said, you know, Tanya, early on, it's like, this is not gonna, that metaphor will never leave you. You don't have to remember that because it is innately yours. And it's just, it will change though. You may find that, Alfredo may find that the flowers become huge and turn into light and start getting, you know, having, I don't know, feet, and just start walking away from that wildfire because they can, or the bucket's gonna explode into a huge portal, you know, or something like that. And every time you just think of whatever you were trying to play at best, or whatever energy you were working with, it just, and you will forget as well. You know, my river, I've had lots of opportunity to play with that river, and sometimes I just had to burst the dam, and that's okay too. Sometimes you have to take the bucket and swing it around their necks, you know, and that's okay too, right?
Well, this has been, you know, like fun exercise, because it's true. We don't think outside of the bucket, right? We don't think outside of our usual box of thinking, right? I think about, like, when I was reading your description and listening to the reading that you posted, I thought about Timothy Leary, you know, and the way he talked about language. And he had a great, a tape that I listened to, an old cassette tape many years ago when I was exploring his work. And he talked about the way that we learn language and the way a parent teaches a child, right? Okay, there's a beautiful, fluttering, colorful thing outside, and the parent shows the child, look, there's a bird. Right. And so it's almost like taking a tile and putting it over the whole concept of what that bird is. Right. And so now going forward, that child is going to see the tiled over version, or the version that's in the box that the parent showed it.
Yeah.
Right. And won't necessarily move out of that conceptual idea of the bird, or what it is, or what it could be.
I think
so I like this exercise because we're moving out of that, right?
Yeah.
We're taking the tiles off, knocking the tiles off of the wall.
Yeah. Like by
that bird can shape shift, it can grow wings, it can do also change colors, do whatever, you know. It's not just limited to that. Whatever they taught us, this is a bird. You know, so now this is a shape shift, this is a limitless bird. This is not, you know, that's how I see this.
And by connecting with the imagery, by reconnecting with imagery, we are escaping, we're opening the door to that prison of word and language and limitation.
But do you know, that remind me that, you know, they always say, be like a child and you'll be happy. Because every time you go into a place that there's 2 or 3 kids, even if they don't speak the same language, they find a way how to play and have fun. They always, everywhere they go, they want you looking the way what they can do to be playing, you know. And then we had this program that we had to be doing, and we don't allow ourselves, because I put it on myself. Sometimes if I'm doing something that is for me, for joy, I feel like a guiltiness. It's like, I'm supposed to be happy now. It's supposed to be doing something, you know, and in my own experience. And however, the really tricky is the balance. I have responsibility as on my age. However, to keep that joy of happiness and looking for play, or the child, you know, experience time. how to balance, to integrate it,
Yeah.
and bring it back, not to let it far away.
Absolutely. And you know, I mean, we talked about before we came on and recorded, we talked about movement, you know, a lot, like Alfredo, your flow movement thing. You know, we're needing to move like these flowers, you know, we need to just move ourselves into a different environment at times. Doesn't mean that we all have to move our homes now. But also, I mean, if you think of your metaphorical representation of manifestation, and then where you live in New York, right?
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's quite interesting too. And maybe you could do one thing to start off with to appreciate that innocent, youthful, joyful child that needs no restriction, and maybe get out a couple of days, a long weekend or something, out of New York, away from the big city. New York is such a tough energy. It's harsh male energy there. And it's like your body will take on that energy, even if you have no idea.
Well,
you know?
yeah. And the
Guys,
thing is,
all of us here like living in big cities, right? I mean, Austin is maybe the smallest of them, but now Alfredo's moving out of the city. So good for you. Good for you, boo.
I can physically feel it because I've been living the city life for so long. It's not to like take a vacation and step outside all the stimulation of just people and, you know, the electronic smog and all this stuff. So I actually realized how much my body took on, because I've been on vacation for like at least a week and like my body's still like recovering. It's like I've been taking on so much from the city life. So yeah, definitely, I don't know, the movement, just moving back and forth outside of the city, it's helped me, I don't know, it's helped get things moving again that haven't been moving. It's bringing this new exploration energy or new, it's bringing in something new that's giving me a deeper peace and clarity I haven't had. So there's something with the movement that's very important.
Well, absolutely. And look, we're all urban shamans, but there is a time where we need to start acknowledging. And I see that every time Paul comes from Cyprus, and he is in a bubble. He lives in a bubble there, you know. And as soon as he comes to England, to London is a tough plaster, like any big city is. You can't hide. There are no bubbles you can hide behind, no walls you can hide behind, because the energy is tough, is rough, you know. And it brings out a lot of stuff for him all the time, you know. And that's not me facilitating him. That's actually the energy of the city, the country. And I said to him the other day, I said, look, London is the heart chakra of the world. Now think what's going on with love and heart and loyalty and all that sort of stuff that's going on at the moment. This is not an easy plaster to live here. But the fact is, when you are acknowledging it, and just like, you know, Alfredo was saying with this flower, well, sometimes you got to know what to do. You got to ask for water. You got to, you know, get yourself out of the city for a couple of days if you are in manifestation mode, and then you come back in and you can do whatever you want, you know. But it's just that acknowledging, yes, we're all intense and we're all old souls, and we chose to be in cities like that because we are holding space, and that's absolutely fine. And there's nothing right or wrong about it. There's nothing superior to anyone else. But it's knowing what is required for you to not go into limitation.
Yeah.
And that's what those simple tools can help us unearth. And of course, you know, the more we play with imagery, the more we stay out of judgment, the more we stay out of conclusion, the more we stay out of expectation, because, you know, we're talking about a flower, we're talking about a bucket, we're talking about, you know, a child's face, you know. There's detachment that is not emotionally involved. or entangled with, at least in that process. But it can be too, because you can have, tears, shed tears. This is a process. Lots and lots of people do shed a lot of tears, but it's a different kind of recognition that is behind that kind of exploration. And the other thing is it prepares us nicely to practice much better visualizations, because, it prepares us to visualize, and imagination. That's what's all coming in now. We got to work. This is the new energies. If we want to create something different, out-create the old, we have to work with those energies. We have to become visualization masters, imagination masters. And that has to be like this. If next time I say, hey, what's this like? Oh, yeah, it is like an owl. And, she's got this and this, and there's feathers missing and la, la, la. Play with that. Because it's fun, it's weird, it's wacko. And then all of a sudden, when you start seeing things in your surroundings, you can then turn the process around. Because there's a flower that needs a bit of water, and the next thing Alfredo passes that, what? Oh my God, that's me. I need a bit of water. Do I need a bit of water? Do I need a bit of love? Yes. Because the flower is there to reflect exactly that to him. Or when I'm in, when I see a dam, I'm like, okay, well, how am I doing with my selfless listening here, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That kind of thing. So you can use any energy, any problem that you have, and turn it into a metaphor. And then once
I think
the images, you can play with that. And that's also in preparation of remote viewing, telepathy, all of that. Tanya, sorry.
Well, and thinking in that way, it creates new neural pathways, right? And keeps your brain flexible, right? And you're constantly using, right? Like you said, you're changing from left brain thinking to right brain thinking and moving back and forth, right? Creating those new neural pathways for the brain cell elasticity.
Absolutely.
So physical benefits to playing in that way, as well as energetic and emotional and psychological.
Yeah, creating that coherency. It's like those physical exercises we do, like crossing over the midline. Meet the elbow with the knee. Right elbow, left knee, that kind of thing. And that's what it is, just playing, becoming flexible. It's all about movement. Yeah, exactly. Having a flowing, a flexible way of thinking. Connecting to the oneness, to everything that is, connecting to nature, to the plants, to the flowers, to other beings, The selfless listening is also, what I read about it is like the selfless listening. And that's why I connected it to this unconditional love that I'm working with at the moment. It's like you have to become the person. You have to become the critic. But you don't need to protect yourself. You don't need to worry. You don't need to take on the negative. Well, energy is energy. We know that by now. But you become so big. The bucket, let me use your bucket. The bucket's becoming so big that it doesn't matter what people throw at you. Go straight into that little portal right underneath. Dissipate. And that's
transmute,
alchemist. And that's what makes you that potent transducer, an alchemist, by no longer having to protect yourself or staying away from it. No, but opening up. Take the borders down, take the walls down, but be so solid within yourself with love, compassion, higher planetary love, whatever you want to call it. Here we go. She's got it all there. Yeah. And that enthusiasm, that, that spark, that light that Alfredo was saying. And Herminia, you were saying, you know, the innocence, the suspension of time. Exactly. This is when we suspend time. This is when space opens up. No past, present, and future, everything happening right now, right here.
Well, and getting back to that innocence, right, really connects with our life path and purpose, right? Because think about like when you're like a little kid and the play and the joy. And I was talking to one of my clients and she's like, oh, I always wanted to be a veterinarian when I was a kid. And now I'm obsessed with dogs, but you know, having this like day-to-day job, like how do we get back to that joy and innocent heart? You know, that's where the flowering happens, right? That's where the energy flows when we're playful and lighthearted.
Yeah. And that's the
Yeah.
place we manifest from. We can move from. We become one with the flow. We become the flow. We become the flower. We become the child, the cup, you know, the bucket and everything. And this is where we're going. And then let's see what we can create from that place of limitless space. And let's not get hung up about the doing. It's not about the doing. It's about the being, the becoming, the energy. Because the energy flow is changing. It's speeding up. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we have to do more. No. When the energy speeds up, it means that we have to become more still. Right? And the more still we are with a high energy that creates homeostasis. And then all we need to do is have that clear focus.
And you know what I feeling like the message is like speeding up, because the time is speeding up. I have to be speeding up myself, like doing more. It's the opposite, and it's your stay still and not just going like this is the time speeding up. I don't have to speed it up myself too. It's like it's kind very, I could say, interesting, because
the manifestation is happening much faster now. Telepathy is happening. When Paul's here, it's amazing. My dreams are so much more defined when he's here. You know, we sit in the car and I'm like, you know, I'm saying, oh, this reminds me of when we were driving in Austria last year. And he said, yeah, it was exactly before Folkestone. We had exactly the same thought, you know, that kind of thing. And we had this conversation this morning, is that, you know, we don't need to talk that much, because all this talking is a waste of it almost kills the way we communicate. We communicate on a much more telepathic level. But also this is something, and it gets faster and faster and faster. But then it can be so misunderstood in this reality, you know. You guys,
no, and you know, now that you mentioned that, I was thinking, my God, I gotta be very careful about what I was thinking about it, because the other day I went to a place and I was thinking about a lady I haven't seen her for almost 3 years, the night before. And when I went to the place, she showed up. And then I went to another location and I saw another girl that I was thinking about her just a few hours. I was, oh my God, I gotta very pay attention to where I put my thought. Or any thought that coming that is no work and just transform. And I said, I don't mean that, or something. Say something, because it coming so frequently, or somebody calling me. I was thinking about that person and call me right away, or a few minutes later. It's, you know, and that's I taking that in consideration to be aware of what I put in my head, because it can manifest right away. Yeah.
And that's the speed of space that we're talking about. It's got nothing to do with, oh my God, the day is so short or something like that. Yeah, it can be perceived like that too, but it's really that manifestation. And then of course we mustn't go down the route, well, I've been trying to manifest this for how long now, and this is not happening. No, it doesn't work that way, you know. but the more we go into acknowledgement, and
Mhm.
it's another very simple tool. You got to acknowledge the little bits, those synchronistic signposts, those breadcrumbs.
Mhm.
Breadcrumb, pick it up or acknowledge it, make a note of it, and instill it with gratitude. The more gratitude you have for every single breadcrumb will allow you to start creating much bigger.
Yeah, well, the thing is that, like you say, is be aware and then just like simplify at the same time, because we have so more bombarding so much information and so much thought coming to our heads, and like they say, 96% of the thought that come into our head is not our, it's somebody else or the system or whatever. Or however, how we can be centered and connected that what I'm looking for is for my own thought, not everybody feeding on my head, you know. I think that's the only one thing that I see from my point of view, that is the one that how I can be there, aware all the thoughts that coming crossing my head that are not mine.
Yeah,
Like just
that's a very good point you're making here, because
That
I
traveling
think
would be nice.
Hmm?
I was just saying that just traveling just to get out of the soup of all this thoughts or whatever. You could travel out and just enjoy that balanced peace state where it's just you and your thoughts, you know. That's something I realized being in Georgetown for a bit, when I was able to ice plunge and just be in that home all by myself when I was moving stuff. It's like, man, I forgot what this clarity is like, and now that I remember it, it's like, oh yeah, this makes total sense. Had to like move locations for a little bit to get that peaceful, balanced state that's just me again to remember.
Yeah.
and you know what, I love that that you guys mentioned that, because you know, we're talking about selfless listening, we're talking about selflessness, you know, and this is the next level, the next step from empowerment. And in order to get into this unconditional love and the oneness idea and the collective consciousness, the new collective, the soul consciousness, the soul family consciousness, you have to have done the empowerment journey first. And then you go into the selflessness, which doesn't mean that you're losing your ego, which doesn't mean that you're losing your I am, but you are actually acknowledging the uniqueness of your contribution. And the uniqueness of your contribution could be, like we said before, it could be you sitting watching the stars on a daily basis every evening, and that could be it. So we mustn't fall into that old paradigm of, okay, what is a good businessman, what is a good internet marketer, what is a good presenter, what is this, what is that, because there's no such thing as that anymore. There is no
Well,
such
and who's doing the defining anyway?
Exactly. And this is why, you know, that goes all in the bucket, straight through it. Find your own definition and allow yourself to be flexible with that, you know. And that's quite beautifully illustrated now, because we've lost interest in so many things, and that's a worldwide thing anyway, you know.
Oh yeah.
And again, there's nothing wrong with it. It is just that out creation of our individuated journey, you know. And those people who are willing to allow their ego to be organic and natural and, you know, strong, solid, not disruptive, not overinflated, they will then come together and find each other. And they're not going to come in troughs. They're going to come one at a time, you know. And I sometimes get so sidetracked. I'm thinking, oh my God, we need more viewers. We need more people on. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Look at our shows. We have 4 years. We have all these people coming, you know. The seeds have been planted, right? And we're now growing into those trees and creating so much more. And how many trees do we need? We don't need. But we need the right kind of seeds. The ones who want to work with in service the ones who have done the responsibility journey, the work, the inner work, the outer work, and all of
Well,
that.
and that's a continual process, isn't it?
Oh,
We're
Jesus.
always having to do the inner work.
Yes.
Always. Never stops. Never stops. You know,
Yes.
you get to that plateau and you're like, oh, I'm so enlightened. I know so much. And then you're like, oh shit, I don't know nothing.
I don't know anything.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm. The more you know, the more you don't know.
Yeah.
And that's when we said, as early on, Tanya, you said going back to the basics again.
Mhm.
That's when
Mhm.
we close the circle there. Okay, off we start, next cycle,
Mhm. Mhm.
starting again. But then the basics are never the basics. The basics are infused with the knowingness and with all the other, you know, energies that we have accumulated on our journeys.
Mhm.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Mhm.
So what shall we
Okay.
call? I need a title for this for today. What shall we call it?
Maybe thinking outside of the bucket.
Outside the bucket. Outside the bucket. That's what it is.
I like that.
Right?
Outside
the
the bucket. Cool.
Because we all are in this bucket.
Fantastic. Good. Fabulous.
Thank
Great
you.
stuff. Are you anyone any closing comments or anything, or shall we just go in love, in
I think
manifestation?
today we're at the beginning of a new 13-day cycle in the galactic calendar. We're on the red magnetic moon day. And so there's also a full super moon tonight, 6:35 p.m. Pacific, which makes it 3 hours later, 9:35 p.m. in New York, and 8 hours later than 6, so somewhere in the middle of the night for you, Martina. But it's a day guided by universal water in the galactic calendar. So again, feel the flow of that
You said
water, and
when you said
feel the influence of that super moon.
the super moon is in the galactic calendars, right? It's not
So no, there's a full moon, a full
There's-
super moon, right,
Okay.
tonight. Yeah, or a blue, is it a blue moon? I guess it's a blue moon.
They
I
call
think
it a blue moon.
The second moon, second full moon in the month of August.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the
Quite
second
a
floor.
rare sort of
Second-
occasion. Mm.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
this it will
so-
be 3 out 8 o'clock in New York, you said?
9:35 p.m.
Mm. Thank you. I will look to do some meditation at that time.
Yeah. So connect with that universal flow of water, and the way the moon influences the tides and the water in our body. Yeah, and think about the flow and the flower.
The flow and the
Mhm.
flower. The flow and the flowing flower.
Mhm.
Fantastic. All right, guys. Well, thanks very much for coming on.
Thanks,
And
Martina.
I see you all next week. Thanks for playing, huh?
Sounds good.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Later, y'all.
Bye.
Have a great one. Bye-bye.